What is the most worthless movie you have ever watched? Cats was the only film I ever considered walking out of. It was like mental self-harm. I knew what I was in for. I tried so hard to behave myself in the cinema. But watching respected veteran award-winning actor Sir Ian McKellen frantically lick and slurp milk from a bowl was too much and I lost it. I'm glad I saw it in a rowdy screening where you were allowed to be as loud as you liked, otherwise I couldn't have taken it. Oh wow, a way I'd actually watch this movie. My college screened the first Twilight movie like this back in the day. It was pretty funny. The Artemis Fowl movie was awful. I loved the books as a kid and had such high hopes. The plot was changed so much it's barely the same story. My mom was guilted into buying a Christian-friendly movie from the church when I was a kid. It was called The Buttercream Gang. It was about a gang of do-gooders. They referred to themselves as buttercreamers. I was probably 12 when I finally watched it and couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a joke. Open house. I felt disrespected for watching that piece of shit. Did you know there was a sequel to Lawnmower Man? Well, now you know. For the record, I didn't pay for it per se. My friend bought the first Lawnmower Man on DVD, and the sequel was included as a bonus because absolutely no sane person would buy it otherwise. Lawnmower Man 2, Beyond Cyberspace. Okay, I know this movie is shit. Absolute shit. Shite. But in the summer of 1996, I was a plucky young half-Thai Canadian kid, stuck in rural Thailand for 2 months. When we went into town for groceries, I found this tiny little video shop that had all the latest movies on VCD, but they were 99% dubbed in Thai. They had a very small selection of English audio but Thai subtitled movies, one of them being Lawnmower Man 2, Beyond Cyberspace. It had Matt Frewer in it. I recognized him from the Foxed Mardi Gras movie from earlier in the year, an X-Men movie before there was talk of any X-Men movies, Generation X. God, I was 12? I had no perception of what a good movie was. All I knew was it was a movie I could watch and understand while being stuck a bazillion miles away from home. Saw Lawnmower Man in the theater, back in the day. I was excited because I was a Stephen King fan and 2 of my friends were going to see it with me. My 2 friends knew it was a trippy movie and, like they did every movie, took acid before. I had to drive us there and back. They thought the movie was amazing. I was disappointed almost immediately, but got to watch and listen to them oh and ah and laugh at it. Without a doubt, Incubus. William Shatner, in the only movie ever filmed in Esperanto. As good as you'd expect based on those 2 facts alone. Wait, does Shatner speak Esperanto in it? Yup. Here you go. Black and white Shatner always looks like a Twilight Zone episode to me. I'd watch the whole movie waiting for the twist as to why they're talking in a weird language. Dragon Ball Evolution. Yep, that movie is terrible. I trust this guy's analysis for sure. The movie I most regret, the Emoji Movie. The most boring and pointless movie I've watched, The Last Light. Still don't get how Sony Animation went from the Emoji Movie to Spider-Verse. The Last Airbender. As soon as I heard his name pronounced Ung, I knew it was going to be a shitshow for the ages. The 41-year-old virgin who knocked up Sarah Marshall and felt super bad about it. Why would you make a parody of comedies? Wait, that was its own movie? I saw the case for it when I worked at a used movie store and I just assumed it was a 3-film combo pack. Edit, 4 films. Forgot Knocked Up. Cannot believe Aragon has not been named yet. Teresa reason nobody's mentioned it, and that's because some things need to be forgotten and Aragon the movie is definitely one of them. Titanic 2. Still sank? Any of the kissing booths. The booths didn't even kiss. 365 Days. A really bad 50 Shades ripoff that I regret wasting time watching, though I didn't finish it. I've never watched it, but have watched a lot of people talk about it and always cringe when they play the "Are You Lost Baby Girl?" clips. Catwoman, the basketball scene alone. Holy shit. Gingerdead Man. A friend and I, being fans of campy B-movie horror, thought we'd get our fix with this obviously bad on purpose film. We made it about 15 minutes in before we were in total agreement that it was completely unwatchable. But, Gary Busey. Son of the Mask. I saw it at the movies at age 12 with my mom and cousin. There was an obviously mentally handicapped man sitting in front of us just loudly guffawing the whole time. At the end, he turned around towards us and told us it was the best movie he had ever seen. A while back I downloaded it just to check if it could really be as bad as I remembered. It was, but that's not the point. The point is that I forgot to stop it, and I accidentally seeded it until my ratio was 75-1. I am so sorry for how much of that monstrosity I've personally spread. If the bleeding of the media industry is to be believed, you've prevented 75 people from paying for that god-awful movie and funding the creation of more movies like it. Society thanks you for your service. Disaster Movie, 2008. Had a rare opportunity to visit with my dad and that was the movie we decided on. Should have gone to the park. We love most of the parody movies, but there wasn't a funny bit in it. Genuine waste of time money. Isn't that like the lowest rated movie on IMDb LMFAO? Could not have picked a better name for the worst rated movie ever. You guys are out here naming big budget mainstream films, and I'm stuck with a mountain of no budget slogfests to choose from, like Horrors of Spider Island, Curse of the Headless Horseman, and She Gods of Shark Reef. I don't make good life decisions. The MS Deck version of Spider Island is fantastic. My family still quotes, a hammer, with a long handle. Paul Girl or Sierra Burgess is a loser. Just awful. Sierra Burgess' message is basically it's okay to be a shitty person if you're insecure. Go wreck everyone's lives and then emotionally manipulate them into forgiving you. D. Let's catfish a dude and then blindfold him and kiss him without his consent. 50 Shades of Grey. I thought it would be so bad that it's funny. It was kind of funny for the first 10 to 15 minutes, but then it was just really boring and poorly made. Not outrageous enough to be entertaining, but bad enough to be frustrating. Edit, just to clarify, while I didn't expect 50 Shades to be good, I actually really love most romances even if they're kinda silly. The Twilight series is very special to me in fact, but 50 Shades is a poor interpretation and so obviously a worse copy. If they wanted to make a BDSM romance that's great, wonderful even, but the author obviously had very little understanding on what that means. The book trilogy were all terrible. WCGW if they make a movie out of it. It was Twilight fanfiction before it became whatever the duck it is now. Explains a bit honestly. Avatar, The Last Airbender. Saw this live-action film in theaters and it was such a horrific letdown after the series. The acting was terrible. Saw the film first and couldn't work out why people love the series so much. So glad I actually tried the series and now I can see why so many were so upset with the film. 365 Days. Complete and utter shit. Wife loved it though. People need to stop making films based on Wattpad fantasies. Sorting by controversial has its own fun. Zombies. No, I didn't spell it wrong. It was one of those Sci-Fi Channel only movies. Where this new zoo was testing on the monkeys and the monkeys just made all the animals at the zoo zombies, not the humans the animals. At one point I saw the cameraman and the producer in a computer screen. Worst movie ever. Edit. Don't get me wrong, I love watching my fair share of bad movies but this one just ticked me off more than any other one. Artemis Fowl. Rubber. The Han Solo movie. It just doesn't justify its own existence. It doesn't really add anything to the character, it answers questions that didn't really need to be answered, and it's utterly forgettable. That doesn't mean it's the worst movie, it's mostly pretty serviceable, but it simply doesn't need to exist. If you're going to create an origin story for one of cinema's most charismatic rascals, at least make it memorable. Space Jam 2. Went for the kids. It was everything I thought at WDB. Scarlett Johansson Lucy was a complete mind-numbing waste of time.